You step off the plane in Hawaii, greeted by the warm, floral-scented air. After a long flight, you're thirsty. You walk into a convenience store, grab a chilled bottle of water, and pay a couple of dollars. In that simple, seemingly innocent transaction, you have just entered a complex economic and logistical web where you did not pay for water. You paid for oil. This is not an exaggeration. It is the foundational reality of modern Hawaii, with nearly 10 million visitors annually consuming an estimated 170 million bottles of water. Tourists spend close to $219 million on bottled water alone. Yet the value of the water itself, the purified liquid drawn from the island's pristine aquifers, accounts for a minuscule fraction, roughly 700 man of that total. So where does the other $217 million go? The overwhelming majority flows directly to the petroleum industry. This startling fact reveals the core paradox of these isolated islands. Hawaii boasts some of the purest drinking water on Earth, with 99% of it sourced from vast underground aquifers that filter through thousands of feet of volcanic rock. On Oahu alone, 140 million gallons are pumped from the ground daily. But those pumps run 24/7, and the electricity powering them comes from a grid that is 75% dependent on burning petroleum. The story continues with the plastic bottle in your hand. It is a product of the crude oil. The diesel trucks that haul it from the bottling plant to the hotel minibar and the beachside stand run on. You guessed it. More petroleum. Your entire vacation is an oil-powered experience. The restaurant meal you enjoy. Every ingredient arrived via diesel truck. The walk-in freezer keeping the fish fresh, the stove cooking your meal, the hotel's air conditioning, the pump filtering the swimming pool, all are tethered to that same oil-dependent electrical grid. The evening luau's lights, heaters, and sound systems, the plastic lei, and the snorkel mask for the kids' adventure, all are born from or powered by petroleum. This leads to the most critical and fragile choke point in Hawaii's existence. Every single drop of fuel powering this intricate system originates from one facility. The Par Hawaii Refinery at Campbell Industrial Park in Kapolei, Oahu, is the highest sole petroleum refinery in the entire state. It is the solitary heartbeat of Hawaii's economy and tourism. When it hiccups, due to maintenance, a mechanical fault, or a supply disruption, the entire archipelago feels an immediate spike in the cost of living and vacationing. If it were to close permanently, as refineries are doing in California, that 1.29 bottle of water could swiftly become $2.50 or $3. In essence, your dream vacation's comfort, cost, and very feasibility are inextricably linked to the health of this single, vulnerable industrial plant. This dependency forces two perplexing questions. First, if Hawaii has its own refinery, why does it consistently suffer from the highest gasoline prices in the United States? Second, where does the crude oil to feed this refinery even come from? The price mystery is particularly intriguing because it is not driven by taxes. Hawaii's state gasoline tax is the second lowest in the nation at just 18.5 cents per gallon, trailing only Alaska. Compare this to California's levy of over 70 cents. The exorbitant prices stem from a more fundamental issue: geographic isolation and total import dependency. Hawaii possesses zero domestic crude oil. Every barrel must travel thousands of miles across the Pacific Ocean via tanker ships. The supply chain is a globe-spanning gamble. Historically, Russia supplied over a third of Hawaii's crude until the 2022 invasion of Ukraine severed that link. Today, the portfolio is a precarious patchwork. Over half comes from Africa, 18% from Argentina and Brazil, 16% from Alaska, and the remainder from the Middle East. This makes Hawaii's economy hostage to global geopolitics, shipping lane security, and international market volatility. When Russian crude was cut off, prices spiked overnight. As the most isolated population center on Earth, Hawaii has zero control over these external forces. This reality dismantles a common fantasy. Why not just build a pipeline? If Texas, which produces 5 million barrels daily, and enjoys 248 gallon gas, could connect to Hawaii via pipeline, the price differential would vanish. Alaska, less than 3,000 miles away and producing 700,000 barrels daily, enough to supply Hawaii 7 times over, could theoretically make the islands energy independent, freeing them from Libyan, Nigerian, or Argentine crude. The reason is brutally simple. Physics and geology render it impossible. Those are not miles of prairie or forest, they are miles of the deepest, most tempestuous ocean on the planet. The Alaskan route crosses the 25,000-foot-deep Aleutian Trench. The path to California traverses 2,500 miles of open Pacific with seabed depths exceeding 12,000 feet. Building and maintaining a pipeline across such distances, through earthquake zones, past active volcanoes, and against powerful currents, is not merely prohibitively expensive, it is a feat beyond current human engineering. The longest underwater pipelines in existence span a few hundred miles in shallow seas, not the open ocean abyss. This isolation even fractures the state internally. One might assume that since all islands are supplied by the same Oahu refinery, gasoline prices would be uniform. They are not. On Oahu, home to the refinery, prices average around 36-gallon Borstrand. On the Big Island, Hilo, it's 4.64 gallon. On Kauai, it soars to 4.96 gallon. This disparity exists because there are no pipelines between the Hawaiian Islands. The ocean channels separating the islands are not shallow shelves but profound, rugged seascapes carved by ancient lava flows, with depths plunging between 6,000 and 10,000 feet. Constructing pipelines here, while technically conceivable, would be an economic and maintenance nightmare. Instead, the distribution system is startlingly archaic. Barges. Refined gasoline is loaded onto ocean-going barges in Oahu, which then undertake slow, weather-dependent journeys to neighbor island ports. There, it is offloaded into trucks for final delivery. Every mile of this barge trip adds cost, harbor fees, fuel for the barge itself, extra handling, which is directly passed on to the consumer. The 60-cent premium on Kauai is essentially a shipping surcharge. For its greater distance and smaller, more logistically challenging market, deconstructing the price at the pump for a tourist renting a car is revealing. The average visitor on Oahu drives about 300 miles. In a car getting 25 MMP, that's 12 gallons of fuel. At 4.44 gallon, the weekly fuel cost is about 53 of that. 5.16 goes to combined taxes, federal, state, county. The remaining 47.84, roughly 88%, goes to the oil industry. This money covers the globe-trotting journey of crude oil, its processing at the lone refinery, its barge journey between islands, and its final truck delivery. This is why the high taxes argument fails in Hawaii. The core cost is the whole immense physical and logistical burden of delivering energy to the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The vulnerability of this system is concentrated at a single, breathtaking point, the Single Point Mooring SPM off Barbers Point, Oahu. The massive crude oil tankers, carrying up to 1 million barrels each, are too large to enter Honolulu's shallow harbor. Instead, they anchor 1.5 miles offshore at a giant floating buoy in 100 feet of water. Here, they connect to 3 undersea pipelines that snake along the ocean floor to the Kapolei Refinery. This delicate operation takes 48 hours per tanker, and 55 to 95 of these vessels arrive annually. This is Hawaii's ultimate vulnerability. 1 mooring buoy, 3 pipelines. A major storm, a tanker accident, a pipeline rupture, or a targeted disruption at this single offshore point could halt the entire state's fuel supply. There is no backup, no alternative port capable of handling such volumes. Hawaii's energy security, and by extension its tourism-driven economy, balances on the integrity of this one floating piece of hardware in the open sea. Your Hawaiian vacation, therefore, is a case study in extreme logistical dependency. Every sunset viewed, every meal enjoyed, every mile driven is made possible by a fragile, globe-spanning supply chain that funnels through one refinery, fed by tankers from distant continents and distributed by barges across treacherous channels. The true cost of paradise isn't just measured in dollars per night or per excursion. It's measured in the millions of barrels of oil that must successfully traverse the planet's largest ocean to keep the lights on, the water flowing, and the wheels of paradise turning. It is a powerful reminder that even in the most remote and beautiful corners of the world, we are all connected to the complex, often invisible, systems that power modern life.